The grief no one talks about when you outgrow your old self is a very interesting topic because this kind of hit me today as I was driving home from driving Uber, where I've been consuming a lot of content about just health, wellness, eating healthy, but also the opposite side of that, where people are morbidly obese and there are food content creators and stuff like that. And it just got me thinking about how what is normal and who you have to become in order to change your life. And I thought about the concept of letting go of your old self. Not even just letting go, but grieving the loss of the unrelatability to those that you used to know because of the path that you're on. Nobody really talks about that, but it's a real thing. I literally felt myself almost about to cry because I can feel the separation from who I once was, somebody who was unconscious about the stuff that he was putting in his body, the person who would drink every single weekend, the person who would just not be mindful about his health as it pertains to food and stuff like that. And I'm thinking about the habits that I've cultivated now. And it's like a bittersweet feeling because I know that I'm going to hit my fitness goals now because the systems are just cleaner. They're more consistent. But the thought about how to everyone that you used to know that knows you to be this person, that version of you slowly exists or slowly ceases to exist. And one might say, well, why is that a problem? Like that version of you isn't serving you anymore. But the reality is that that version of you got you this far. It got you to this point where now you see that you just have to let that version of you go. And it's a very sad thing, I think. But it's not a terrible thing because I think if sadness wasn't there, then I don't think that someone truly changes if there isn't sadness about the old version of you. Because when I think of the old version of myself, I'm seeing now that he could have never truly fulfilled his dreams because he just wasn't the person that was supposed to. He didn't have the right habits, the right mindset, the right belief, the right system. So it just makes sense. But now I'm seeing that I had to go through that in order to get to this point where now it's very clear that, oh, this is exactly the path that I'm on. And anything that isn't incongruent, anything that's not congruent with the path that I'm currently on, I simply just have no desire to entertain it. And that's the point that you need to get to. You have to get to a point where the things that you used to do that no longer serves you, it just doesn't make sense to you anymore. Because once you get to that point, life just becomes automatic. Your goals just become automatic. Winning, succeeding, they all just become automatic because you're no longer trying to get to a place of success, peace, love, happiness. You're just simply the embodiment of that thing. And I've always thought that achieving the goal, I never understood the concept when people said, it's not about achieving the goal, it's about the person that you become in the process. But now, fully leaning into that and seeing that, oh shit, it's real. It's real what they say because the way you just kind of, it's almost like the best analogy I could put it It's literally it's imagine just imagine, which I mean I'm not blind, but imagine a blind person being blind for 27 years of their life, and then now they could finally see. Like you can never go back to being blind because now you can see. And that's exactly what it feels like when you get to a place of, I guess, enlightenment, when you're thinking about who you have to become in order to achieve your goals and stuff like that. It's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. But it is a good, necessary feeling. The more I think about it, I'm seeing now that I think that's an underlying fear that a lot of us face, where we try so hard to be relatable. We try so hard to build a community with the people that is currently at our level of consciousness, level of awareness, level of insert whatever thing that you label yourself to be. So much so that even if that version of you is no longer serving you, and you know that you got to elevate from that, you still won't let it go because you develop a familiarity, you develop a comfortability. And even though you know that this next stage of life that you're about to go on is going to be so much better, it's still scary. It's still like, damn. Like, will I find friends that are just like me? Will I find people that I can cultivate healthy and happy, loving bonds with that align with the things that I'm aligning with now? Obviously, the answer is yes. But at first glance, you're just like, bro. Like the idea of thinking about people who don't drink, the people who eat healthy, cook all their meals, prioritize fitness, prioritize their dreams, their goals. Like that's a rarity, at least right now. But I'm also being mindful that I can't project that into the world. I got to understand that that's just going to be my new norm. So, yeah. I don't even know what the goal is of this video. I think that is just to unpack and unload, because I'm seeing now that really and truly, there is no other way to truly change your life other than letting go and grieving the old version of you. If you're not willing to let go of that version of you, bro, you're going to stay the same forever. And that's not necessarily a bad thing unless that's what you want. I know I don't want that. And I would imagine if you stumbled upon this video, you don't want that either. So if there was anything that I could say or do to nudge you in the direction of letting go of this version of yourself, you got to be brutally honest about the things that you've been doing and allowing in your life. Because I don't think true change comes from lying. It comes from radical self-honesty. So if you are at a place where you're kind of on the fence, ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the goal here? What's the benefits? Because I think that those are questions that we avoid a lot of the times when we are trying to better ourselves, that we don't see that this thing that we're doing right now, it's not doing anything good for us. Like me eating processed foods was not benefiting my life in no way. Me avoiding making content was not benefiting my life in no type of way. Me drinking every single weekend was not benefiting me any type of way. It was fun, but now I'm seeing that it's just not optimal. And yeah, it's a lot. But it's still important though. It's still important to, I guess, to cherish those moments where you lacked the awareness to, I guess, see who you were being. Yeah. Because there's such a beauty in unawareness that I feel like you'll never get back once you see shit for what it really is. Man. Yeah, bro. Awareness is such a interesting and powerful concept. Because there's really no ceiling to how aware you could be. You just become more and more aware. So, yeah, but understand that it's normal. I feel though. It's normal to feel grief when you're leveling up in consciousness and awareness. So don't feel like you grieving a version of you that no longer exists or cannot exist in order for you to get to where you need to go. Don't feel like that's a bad thing, although it feels bad. I feel like it's important to understand that that's healthy. Because a lot of people don't even get to that point where they've made true change, or where they can actually look and see like, damn, I am no longer that person. Like I had that realization. Was it 2 days ago? 3 days ago, when my ex hit me just randomly. And for a while, I used to be so afraid, like, oh my God, what if she comes back? Da 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 da. But now it's just, bro, the relationship just could not be what it once was because I'm just not the same person. And it's like a bittersweet. So, yeah. Hopefully you found value in this video. I know it's definitely a different energy or vibe than my very direct tone that you may be used to. But I feel like it was important for me to get this off my chest. So if you did make it this far in the video, I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. My name is Trent Bishop. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.